Bulldogs tonight.
Well, there's Kieran Collins. We referred to him before, picked 26 in the draft last year.
Big
Dawson Simpson coming across from Geelong. And, of course, no Shane Mumford just yet, but he'll be back soon for the Giants. So, and that challenge in Canberra tonight, really warm, still over 30 degrees as the ball is bounced. Lockie Whitfield.
Well, I tell you what, that's quite an aggressive tackle for the way they said they were going to adjudicate it and give a free kick against any aggressive tackles. He slammed his head into it.
Did a third man up action as well. Canelio gets involved early and the Giants go forward through Kelly and now to half forward, but not going much further than that.
Well done by the young lad there.
And that was the thing with the Bulldogs defenders last year. They took an assertive position. They really stood in front and tried to really control things, with the forwards putting a lot of pressure on to lock the ball in, making the defenders, giving the defenders a chance to do that. That's where guys like Collins have to settle straight in and adapt to those type of positioning from Bulldog defenders.
Big Will Minson will be looking to put his best foot forward early in the year. Had a strange old year last year. Came back, of course, for the final. Here's an opportunity for Tom Campbell. That'll be a big battle for the #1 ruck position at the Bulldogs. Buntine out to half-back. There is Johannesson. Out-pointed, and that's a good sign for Giant. Quick turnover, though. Suckling off that left boot, going short, and Campbell in the right place can go back and have a shot.
Will Hoskin-Elliott, who's normally a beautiful user of the footy, just didn't quite get the loft that was required. Intercept and
Roughhead on the end of it, in fact.
It is that they have gone tall with Roughhead and Campbell both in the forward line, deep forward line for the Bulldogs.
Safe kick too, just to make the 15-metre chip pass rather than get all excited. First touch and a real good hit out for the year. I'm going to bang this through from 55. No, it was well thought through.
I wonder where he's going to end up, Roughhead, as he kicks that one across the face. Campbell with the big hands. It looked like they were setting him to be a defender and then ruck forward.
It's definitely ruck forward for me. This is pretty disappointing, you'd think, after a whole summer of working on your goal kicking, and that's the first one you produce. A little bit disappointed. Roughhead would be there, but no.
Not forward. Giving him a gig up forward with that kick.
Ruck forward for me.
Here's Steele, who worked through a tight base nicely. They move it up towards left half back. Good mark there by Tomlinson. And he'll be looking forward to stringing together some consistent footy after the disappointment of 2015. Drives it long and a good high-flying mark taken by Wood. And we've become accustomed to seeing that, haven't we, Jono?
Yeah, well, that's what he was injury-free. I think that's the key for Easton Wood. It was last year. Got a full year under his belt and was able to show his class.
Wallace, who delivers inside 50, and a nice mark taken by String. A good pair of hands to him.
Well, you saw that there on the quick turn. I know there wasn't much time, but you saw 4 Giants players close to the paint of the 50. Now, the really well-drilled teams, once the ball leaves, they're already drifting back to block up that space that Stringer got to lead into. So, depending on whether he goes or not, we might get another look at it. Well,
56 goals, 32 in 2015. All-Australian forward pocket, Jake Stringer, to pick up where he left off. He strikes it nicely, but takes it away to the left-hand side, and it's an errant kicking to start proceedings for the Bulldogs.
You're not the forwards coach down there, John, are you?
No,
just checking.
Not at all. But this is important now for the Giants as well. They got to this position on a regular occurrence last year and were able to run out in waves, get it to this point and win possession. They need to do that more regularly, the Giants.
Well, this man, he surely will show them how to kick accurately. Tory Dixon, been few better probably ever in the... Here's Johannesson as he decides to dish off the left. It was a scrappy old kick. Jake Stringer in the right spot, but he misses from literally point-blank range.
He's missed from 1 metre. Yeah, that scatter ball that came in, they are so dangerous to defenders. And they're doing a good job here, the Doggies.
So Wilson to bring it back into play for the Giants. Drives it long. Where tall timber looked to fly. Out the back, Bulldogs won't necessarily be happy with that. Palmer pounces, lays it off to the running Pickett, who drives it inside 50. Whitfield dropped an absolute sitter, had time to mop up, and will retreat. Disciplined, cautious kick found Palmer, too far from home. So it wheels and goes. Kicks long towards Lobb, who flies. And a good pair of mitts on this big fellow.
Strong grab, got a pure jump at the footy Needs to convert now. That's the important thing. The big ruckman looking to fill a role as a forward as well. You've got to take those marks. More importantly now, go back, kick him. Get your 2 or 3 goals a game with your number of hit-outs throughout. All of a sudden, you become an effective player for your team.
The 9 games last season. Promising ruckman. Lob comes in and delivers. First blood to the Giants. And they did it quite easily on the transition as well.
At 206 centimetres, he's ruckman size, you know, ruckman length, but they're grooming him more as a 70% forward line player.
I love Whitfield's run here. Look at that. He from the middle of the ground in behind the defence, and that's where Adelaide got the Bulldogs in the final last year when they couldn't hold it up forward. That quick transition, that was Eddie Betts in the final. That's Whitfield now. That's what the Bulldogs have to be careful of, but also great run from the young Giants player, #1 draft pick. He's got that power run in his game. But to pick the hole and go was a great effort.
Get a look at Hopper. Is in there for this bounce, I think. That's him at the far side of the centre circle there.
What a great sign for the Giants. Rory Lobb, he could be a really pivotal player in their improvement.
Young Jacob Hopper wasn't looking at the ball, was more intent on a block and actually grabbed.
And hence McRae was quickly dishing the handball off, and he gets some run out of defence from Stevens inside 50, but this Giants side is obviously strong and moving it well. Sam Reid, great to see him back. Johnny was probably an ex-teammate of yours.
Yeah, played a little bit of footy with Sammy Reid. Moved up to the Giants along with Cal Ward with that trade, so that worked out, and he was part of development. His coaching levels are going well also for his life after footy.
Was delisted and then re-rookied. So he dominated in the knee fault.
He has. Roughhead was down off the ball as well. That last contest, he collided with Campbell trying to take a big grab off the back. You can see him limping from the field now.
Hunter drove the ball in, again a little wayward. Let's have a look at what did happen to Roughhead. 2 Giants of the Dogs colliding.
Normally the last man in is the one that does the damage.
Lob over the top with those extra centimetres. Got the tap down, but one of the most improved players of last year, Mitch Wallace, read it beautifully, but you didn't kick it beautifully.
No, hit the middle of the ball, got pushed on the kick, but there's Roughhead there, very sore. Whether that's just a big corky, it's right on the hip flexor by the looks of things as well. So
I reckon it might have even been a little bit lower into the area we all laugh about when it's not us.
Yes.
The Giants do it the hard way. They eventually get out of trouble. Here's Adam Kennedy. He drives it long. Collins front position. Over the back, though, Tomlinson used his body really well and marched strongly.
Now, obviously having intimate knowledge of these boys, he got shuffled around a bit, Adam Tomlinson, last year. And when you've got Patton, James Stewart, McCarthy, Jeremy Cameron, Lobb spent time up there, he's going to be used occasionally as a bits part player. He is a very, very hard-running, hit-up half-forward.
Well, perilously close to departing for Carlton. Tomlinson puts his best foot forward. Giants off to a flyer.
And he's a big unit. He's
I love
193, 194 centimetres, high 90s kilos, and Jono runs a 16 beat.
yeah, that's why he's first. You can see the run once again from behind here.
Now look at the pace here. He
Giants.
goes away from Bob Murphy, takes him on. He puts in 3 or 4 paces on Murphy and says, yeah, get me if you're good enough. Tomlinson stands the ground, knows he's going to be able to hold that comeback effort, or come back into him from young Collins.
He's the one I would have chased early days if from an opposition club was Tomlinson, because that 16 beat, you can't, towards the end of a game, end of quarters, that is so critical for a big guy to be able to continually do that. Push up to the logos, get back to the goal square.
Well, last year on his comeback game after a long-term injury, I think it was Achilles or a lower calf, he played on Revolt and matched him for endurance.
Yep.
First game back after how many weeks? 10 or 12.
I think it was a toe injury, Derm.
Well, it was too. It was turf toe. Yeah, it was lower leg. Yeah.
Just watching the Dogs move forward, though, Dalhouse, what a player he was last year. And that was on target. He's dropped it, Campbell. And the Dogs cannot buy a goal right now. They're finding new and inventive ways of missing them, actually. Margin is 9 points. I think Tomlinson, with the absence of McCarthy, we obviously hope that he'll get back to footy, but it doesn't seem likely in the short term at least. He's going to have more of an opportunity.
He's always going to get opportunity because of that, as John said, the beep test. You can play him as an oversized winger. You can play him as a run with half back.
But it was like he'd become fourth picked, I suppose, with when you look at Cameron first, Patton, and then McCarthy. Then it just seemed to be Tomlinson was the fourth name. There as you see Roughead getting up and starting to move, might be over that injury nerve.
Beautifully done.
Stringer hit it on the speed and drove it long inside 50. Might trickle all the way. In the end, a minor score, and it's probably the difference between the two sides so far, just that efficiency inside forward 50.
Dogs have been inside 8 times to 3.
Putting up the picket fence here. 1-1-1-1.
As the Giants move it out of defence cleverly. Risky option though. Got to hit those. Otherwise you often pay on the turnover. Not this time. Here's Webb. He's called the play on. Kick short.
Protege of Bowden Babicek, the running coach.
Tatum McLean lays it off to Stringer, who pulls the trigger looking for Knight. In the end, as it sailed towards the left-hand behind post, Roughead, right place, right time.
Now look at the orange jumpers who were running in there, but didn't get support back for, I think it's Aidan Core on the mark there. You've got to at least get a second man back for the, in prep to be second man up. Pretty simple shot here if he thinks his way through.
Thought about dishing it off. We go around the corner, just the one step, and he's pulled it too far. So, as Hutto made mention of, they can't buy a goal, 5 behinds.
Well, they've missed him from all angles, haven't they, so far?
Jeremy Finlayson kicks in. He's another one tucked away from the Giants Academy.
Really looking forward to seeing him in action, Dern, tonight, as he certainly had a big summer.
He will be regarded as a steal somewhere down the track. He came, I think they had to use pick 80-something to secure him out of the academy, and he's a whole lot better than that.
Buntine goes across, and Kennedy, who certainly let the hair blossom over the off-season, was able to get the Giants moving forward again. And that was Finlayson who kicked it forward. Here's Reid, turns and bangs it up towards full forward, looking for a big leap. He certainly got the fly okay, but James Stewart couldn't take the mark. Here's another one who'll be looking to have a strong year and try and really get a permanent spot in this Giants forward line. And now Suckling has the mark as they're on the way out.
First real involvement in Bulldogs colours. His trusty left, driving it long down the line. His target Roughead, made in the sandwich. Put it down front and centre. The new look Johannison. Lasith Malinga, say the boys. Retreat by foot to Stevens, who might look to switch. Good to see him back playing footy. Had a wretched run with injury. Finds Murphy. They work it well out the other side. Here's Collins. Wobbly ball towards right half forward. Trapped well by Wallace. Could have been nudged by Reid. Umpire called play on. Then said he threw it. And good pressure in the end by the former Bulldog, Sam Reid.
Started well, Sam Reid.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have re-rooked him, obviously probably as a backup, Jono, but he must have...
Pure backup.
He's played really well in the NEFL and must have thought he retired prematurely.
He's a worker, and that's sometimes that's what you need. You know that he's going to be able to, if it got to the point where they were just got injury after injury, he's going to come in and be able to play an important role for you and try and hold some things down. He's not a bad, I suppose, stopper in the game as well.
Jake Barrett there with the ball. He's, I think he's nephew of the rugby league great Trent Barrett.
Outstanding, hard young player is Barrett. Real pressure tackling expert even as a young man. Now Bontempelli, speaking of skill, and the Dogs have got plenty on display. Dalehouse on the end of the Stringer handball, but you just can't kick a goal at that end apparently.
Look, no, there's something wrong here, John. They've backed themselves, haven't they?
Free kick paid. That's just the replay.
So you can't even talk like that now, can you?
Webb coming across the top.
Yeah, he fumbled the mark for a start, which wasn't great.
Here's Eastonwood with Tomlinson, who just swats it forward. Scully looked to pounce, couldn't get a clean handle on it. Eventually, Stevens on all fours, just flicked it the way of Johannison. Good look away handball to Daniel, and chipped short and found McRae.
Clever kick just with the outside of the foot to get it inboard.
In that protected zone. They're enforcing this quite strictly, Derm.
Now, he's already asked Do you want to take it on the edge of the 50 to get a 9-pointer? He said, no, let me get nice and close. We haven't got any yet.
I don't think he'd be too popular with Luke Beveridge should he have taken the ping from outside 50, given...
Yeah.
Jeez, would love it, wouldn't we, though, if a player goes, yeah, I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game, not last quarter when you're looking for that 9-pointer, but
what
early on.
Yeah, and I'll kick a talk on the non-dominant.
Yes.
The way they've been going, this is no lay-down Mazaire. McRae for the Dogs first.
It's a good kick.
Makes no mistake. So evens the ball game up with 6 minutes 16 remaining in this opening term, and it's been an entertaining start.
Inside 50s, 11-4 in favour of... I'll say that now. In favour of the Doggies.
Have 13 more disposals at this stage. 7 scoring shots to 2.
It was a little unfair on Dawson, wasn't it? He was sprinting to get out of there. Or sprinting for him.
He's another one who would just love a decent run out at injury-wise. Big Dawson Simpson. Been in the system, this is his 9th year, so...
he's 27.
Yeah, just needs a fresh crack, and that's exactly what he's been given. As Dixon again's on the move, he can give this plenty for 9. Stringer in the hustle and bustle, didn't drag it down. Tyne right on him, he wore him very well, and he wins.
That is what drives coaches mad. A free kick out of the centre, and Dixon, as a half-forward, can be 8 metres goal side of the nearest opponent.
Yeah, because what happened, Dalhouse pushed out to a wing from the stoppage, then Dixon's man came up, he thought that's where the kick was going to go. So have a look at the shot here from McRae, another miss, and that's when Dixon got free and the kick went over the top. What do you give up? Do you give up the chip to the wing, or suggest you give that first and protect about 60 out from goal rather than let the ball go there for a play on?
You stay back and you let the half-forward come up.
Yeah.
Everything is, you go overboard on defence.
So Wilson again entrusted with the kick-in duties. Gets around Stringer with ease and just chips short, does it well. Tomlinson
So
really showing how far up.
Yeah, that's that long hit up.
How hard he can work.
Yeah.
He steers one down the line. Kick bounced at the feet of Stewart, locked up.
So you watch, Tomlinson's come to that party there now. Going to pick him up, and he'll jog through. So he'll go right out of screen, and he'll get another 60, 70 down like he's taken off again. Now that's that big tank we've talked about. He's just always in motion.
Bontempelli went 3rd man up. Chance once again for the Bulldogs. Half forwards have been busy in this opening term. McLean flicks it off to Stevens, whose kick is good. And Stringer proving to be a bit of a handful in this opening term.
Well read, though. And Paulie, see Adam Kennedy just let his man lead him to the ball then, thinking the long one was going to come over there.
Caleb Marchbank standing the mark, and Stringer with his 2nd opportunity to affect the scoring. Missed the first one away to the left-hand side. This much easier.
He moves well, John.
Very well. Considering coming off a really severe break in his junior, just outside his draft year.
To extend this Bulldogs lead, he squeezes it through. High fives all round. Bulldogs seem to have settled.
Yeah, he hobbled around through the AFL Academy. He was hobbling around, you sit there and go, look, he's doing everything possible to get himself back. You just don't. You can see him there, bottom left of screen, and it's just the hook lead here, in around.
Yeah, McLean comes up,
and off he goes. It was a good kick to space. But that's the early work you've got to do, and that's the improvement for him as a forward. You can see that already with the work he would have done over the summer in terms of moving earlier to then knowing exactly where you want to come back to get the metre or two to take an easy mark on the lead.
That goes down as a goal against Caleb Marchbank. But really the goal was because young McLean led up and Adam Kennedy didn't follow him hard enough. That's the easy reception at half forward, and then the swing and kick. She's all she wrote after that.
Just 21 years of age, Jake Stringer. What a player he is already, and what a player he could be.
But it's the adaptability, I think, Hutto, that goes with his game, that surprised the opposition last year and will continue to give headaches to the opposition, because he can go into a stoppage and into a centre bounce with the big body. Then he can play half forward. Then he goes deep and can play one-on-one.
Oh, Williams showing
Take the big contested mark.
tremendous courage for the Giants.
Oh, he stayed down. That was
Hunter
clever.
held the ball for a long time, too long.
So he went down to pick it up and very cleverly stayed down, didn't come up. So he's obviously well within his rights to go down and pick up the ball, lower his head height, but then he stayed down there and almost drew the free.
Nathan Wilson making the running across to Scully, who bangs it up in the John Patton direction. Good defence though by Kieran Collins, who said he's a nice size for a young player. Under all sorts of pressure, Canelio.
Big pack tackle.
And he too got the same treatment. Collins, good to see him involved as Stevens chips it wide. Across to Biggs, had a good year with the Dogs too. And now they can run again out of defence. Robart drives it up to half forward from behind. Dalehouse read the play beautifully, flicked it back to Webb. They're inside 50 again, and guess who's on the move? Stringer, not clean that time. Different opponent, and the ball over the boundary line.
So what do you think of the Scully kick from centre half back right through? Because if you turn it over in the position that GWS did in the end, it can actually hurt you. The opposition do normally get out and get into dangerous positions. But I actually didn't mind it personally because it was the one-on-ones with representation at ground level.
A lot of coaches don't want you to kick it there because they prefer to actually create a stoppage in the half-forward line rather than be hurt by the springboard attack from a true centre-half back. That's just, coach's philosophy, I suppose.
Big year for Leon Cameron. Spoke openly on the AFL website, I think it was, about the side's development and the pressure they're placing upon themselves as they move forward with purpose. And a good fly from behind by Stewart. Wasted no time playing on. Patton looks to break into space. It moves in slow motion, the two big men. Good recovery by Collins to get himself in on that contest. A bone-crunching tackle. Could have been goal-saving, in fact.
It turned goal side for him, though. It could have run over the boundary. It almost turned back into the goal face for him, but a very good tackle there.
Gee, Johnny, you don't want to read too much into 15 minutes, but I know you've seen a lot of him as a kid, but impressive start from Kieran Collins.
Yeah, it is. He is getting beaten out the back, though. You can see that there. The opposition's getting in behind him. I think a lot of his starting positions through TAC Cup would have been next to or behind and trail in or forward. So that's something that he's just got to adapt to, because at the moment the Giants are looking dangerous, getting in behind him.
And Stringer breaking from half-back, showing that versatility. A hopeful handball more than anything. Snuffed out beautifully by Patfall. Used all his experience, almost 200 games worth. And eventually Marchbank has the left foot kick, taking him out in the Palmer direction. Did him absolutely no favours. That's an outstanding mark under severe duress.
Has never wavered one moment from any contest since
Look at that, eyes on it, pure, knows the hit's coming.
Yeah. This whole game's 4 goals kicked, all of them springboard out of half-back.
Biggs was the man coming in for the Dogs. Low pass, wasn't particularly good. Easton Wood got a piece of it, not enough. Scully. He's pinged as well. They've been pretty red hot, the umpires so far.
I don't mind the red hot call. Too often players are professional in not letting their arms get to the outside and deliberately make a real effort to get it out. The umpire blows a whistle and says, give it to me, we'll ball it up, we get another stoppage. So blow it, blow the whistle and call the free.
Collins, as the Dogs pinned back in defence, at least for the moment. Can see the distance on the kick, takes him to the wing. Impressive mark by McRae. It's one of those tall midfielders. What an advantage that can give you. Just that extra few centimetres as the Dogs taking their time in their movement out of defence. In fact, going further back to take a different path to goal.
Well, they have been content to go back to go forward, affect the switch, and they've done it on a couple of occasions now. As they look to move it inboard. Joe Henderson takes the mark and just chips one over the top to Murphy, who thought about going and is now called to play on. Edges one short to Webb, who wants his left.
They're a bit stiff there. They're going in. That was a real good shot, Tristan, and another major.
Bring it in the open side.
So numbers-wise, the Dogs certainly dominating. 15 inside 50. Sweltering night in Canberra. Second quarter about to get underway. And as we start proceedings, it's the Bulldogs leading by 7 points.
So Simpson in the ruck against Campbell for the Bulldogs. Simpson took a look at Campbell, who won it decisively. Hopper, the bulldozer, in tight for the Giants. He'll hear his name for many years to come, locked in. In fact, holding the ball. You spoke, Derm, I think, about them being red hot on it. And that no exception.
Don't mind it. Don't mind it.
As they break free from that stoppage and congestion. Here's Biggs on the outer side. Drives it inside 50. Well read, though, by Marchbank, who marks, goes, Canilio. Captain for the Giants tonight. Handball was an iffy one. And Stevens falling to the ground was clipped high and will send the Dogs forward.
Yeah, Hopper only with the one touch in that first quarter, but he's running around with Bontempelli, who's only had the two.
Kobe Stevens kicks them forward again. Steele in the road. High contact on Nathan Wilson. And he takes the free kick. He's a beautiful kick of the ball, Nathan Wilson. Gee, he can penetrate.
He's one of those
Having said that, he just has a little pokey little kick in the back pocket.
But he's one of those blokes, you stand behind him, you know you don't even have to see where the ball goes. You hear the thunk of the boot striking into the footy. And it makes you spin your head around at training sometimes. You go, gee, who kicked that? And who did kick that?
That was Reece Palmer, and it wasn't a great one, it's fair to say. Oh, Stringer! Well, again, we just see the versatility of the player there, Jake Stringer. Off the ground he goes.
And Jackson McRae, he's just patrolling across half-back at the moment. So you can see him there, he's pushed up because that's what all sides do these days. But they'll be looking to just roll a few midfielders, I reckon, across half-back. We've seen a couple so far tonight. McRae started there in this quarter. Plus for his foot skills coming out, he has used the ball very well in his accumulator.
There you go, the Giants on the break. Scully short to Pickett. They wanted to play on. He drives it long now. Morris going back with the flight. Stewart behind him. Couldn't quite take the mark. Biggs was there to recover. Campbell didn't quite hit Collins. Stewart recovered well. Patton didn't get a clean handle on it, but showed great agility for a big man. Then did the discipline thing round the corner. Scully called to play on, snaps a magnificent goal.
Now, if you watch the big fella, Patton, we'll get a replay of this. Watch how small his steps are. For a giant young man, he balances beautifully. This is a great kick. He spots Stewart out by himself with a bit of a drop. Tomlinson, Stewart, Patton on the deck. You think there's probably not a lot of crumbing ability there, but watch his small steps when he comes back in now. Bang. Now that's a 6'5", 100 kilo or 198 centimetre, 100 kilo forward. He has very light feet and quick feet. Like a boxer, you know, he steps around the ring quickly. Balances up beautifully.
Yeah, impressive kick to hook it back that far from that position and to spot up Scully.
Great to see him finally make his comeback from his second knee reconstruction last year, Jonathan Patton, and after a full pre-season, hopefully we'll see him in full flight often this year. Stevens, as the Dogs trying to turn defence into attack. Collins taking it wide, and good follow-up, and McRae, as Sir Jono said, lurking across that half-back flank. Bontempelli was able to dig it up, but the Giants at the moment got a bit of momentum. Steele off the right boot. The angled kick wasn't the strike he was after, made it tough for Patton. Bit of a mismatch in size, though. Biggs could have been squashed there by Patton, but he did well.
Could have been what?
Squashed. Campbell takes it off half-back, and the kick goes out to Ingnes Core. Did well against Minston the first time. No escape from the tackle of Rovat, and we'll have a ball up.
We're just seeing the simple old game plan of younger Giants. They haven't got their best team in. They're given a few opportunities. They've said they're going to try and make their best team appear on week 2 and get progressively better to their very best on week 3. The Dogs have come out with a strong one. The Giants are actually just putting a little bit more pressure and working a little harder on them than vice versa.
A little bit scrappy, but all sets of players having a dip as Tomlinson kicked along inside 50. Murphy kept a cool head, and the Bulldogs will clear the danger zone. And remarkably, a man in space in the form of Pickett on that outer side. Looks inboard. Bontempelli found himself a bit of space, and this is where the Bulldogs are so dangerous. Disposal number 12 for Stevens. Uses it well, although butterfingers there from Roughhead. And a chance goes begging for the Western Bulldogs.
Hopper's going to learn a fair bit tonight from Bontempelli. I know he's only young himself, Bontempelli, but his work rate and his positioning and stoppages and his running patterns are very good. That's why he accumulates so much of the footy. Hopper's running around with him, and you'd like to see on turnover like that, Hopper's the one who gets it maybe out on the spread. Put Bontempelli under a little bit of pressure. Play his natural game on turnover.
He's playing his 25th minute of senior football. Yeah.
Johannesson with a little delicate little kick goes short for Rovat. And again, they can run out of the defence. Caleb Daniel made such an impression last year. Often did his best work coming on as the sub. And thankfully, from a player's point of view, there's no such thing anymore. Campbell bombs away. The extra number is with the Giants.
That's better by the Giants. The extra man, they didn't get that third man up in the first quarter. That's why the Doggies got so many shots at goal.
Williams to Pat, pulled him back to the wing. Patton came late to impact the contest. Well done, Hunter. Murphy, now Johannesson. Dogs starting to wind up. All one-on-ones ahead. And he's able to put it to the advantage of Stringer, who can swing quickly. It'll be a tough shot for goal, but he's going to take it and kick it like that. And only 6. Must have just crept over the line, but what a goal it was. And we don't need much of a reminder of the talents of this young man. The Dogs lead back out to 8.
Watch him get on the lead here. He just accelerates into the footy and actually bends the lead. See, just gets that little turn on it. It's a very rare specimen which can actually accelerate through a turn.
Marked it just inside 50. There's kicked it from outside, but marked inside. So there's the reason for the 6-pointer.
So Jake Stringer, flying start to his 2016 campaign. Well-earned rest on this hot day in Canberra. Bulldogs edge ahead once again. Lob now in the ruck for the Giants. Beaten to it by Minson. Dalhouse off the edge of the square did well. Stevens has had it on a string to Murphy. They work it forward well. Here's Suckling. Will pump it long. That penetrating left foot kick towards Roughhead, who was beaten in that one-on-one contest by Core. Ball to the pocket. Rovat taken high and fortuitously draws the free kick.
Good representation at ground level from the Bulldogs, but when you look at the Giants, they have the direction at quarter time would have been about getting back to help in the air against Roughhead and Minson or Campbell, whoever's down there, just to create a bit more of a contest. So if it does hit the deck, then run it out. At the moment, though, the Bulldogs have got good representation at ground level.
A little bit cute there, Rovat. Ball was touched, as you heard, and the Giants attempt to clear their defensive 50. Patton did well. Did cleverly, in fact. Looked to just palm it down to Hoskin Elliott. In any case, draws the free kick.
He's still ahead of the mark. He's got to go back. That's correct umpiring. It seems pedantic, but it's the right decision to make.
So goal each in this second quarter. Patton goes short and ill-directed, as it turned out. Johannesson was there to intercept. And good smooth moving by the Dogs. McLean, who was impressive in his short opportunities last year before he got injured. Scrappy from Patton, and McLean gets another crack at it. Left foot kick, well guided. He's a fine user of the ball.
Patton's better than that. 2 in a row, poor kicks.
That'll be a little bit of fatigue.
Yeah, of course.
As well.
No doubt, but the level he's at, the type of player that he is, he kicks the ball a lot better than that.
Stunning accuracy in front of goal last year, Tory Dixon. 75%.
What a great kick to spot him up, though. Had to clear the head of the Giants defender in front and drop into Dixon's grasp before the trailing in defender Marchbank arrived third on the scene.
So Tory Dixon, you'd think he'd caress this one through for a goal. You'd think it.
They should stand you on the mark, are they?
3-9, 27 to 3 straight 18.
Well, he was a dead-eye Dick in 2015. 50 goals, a great return from Tory Dixon.
Nothing wrong with that. Get all your misses out of the way now.
Second good pack in your pre-season days, too.
I never touched it. That's a second outstretching mark. Big, high mark by Rory Lobb.
Here's our first look at the boy from Colin Gully, Matthew Kennedy. He was pushed as he got rid of it. Giants edge it forward, although not precisely. They've lacked a little bit of polish by foot. I suppose that is to be expected. Wallace dived in. Good contest there, Bontempelli. Johannesson one way, then another. And used it well, found Minson. Now they look to switch. Finds Suckling, who loops it over the top to Stevens in acres of space. Just props, assesses what's ahead. Steers one short to Caleb Daniel.
If they hit targets here, the Doggies, what are they now? They're 9 points ahead. If they hit targets in the next 10 minutes, they'll outscore the Giants in this last 10 minutes of the second quarter by 3 or 4 goals. You saw the spread then. Giants were 5-10 behind them on the spread. Their individual opponents. So they just look like they're finding a little bit fatigue creeping in now, the Giants.
And another 50
decent
given.
50.
It was hit 50 because Pat Full was the one who crouched in the protected area.
I reckon he wanted every bit of that 50 as well.
But a 50 to this man, you know, in terms of stepping it out, it's like a 75 to anyone else.
The boy from South Adelaide.
You sympathise with that, Hutto?
I do, yeah.
From 40 metres, gives it everything he's got and does it really nicely.
Never in doubt there.
Daniel with his first. The Bulldogs extend their lead. And they just look to be gaining the momentum.
Yeah. You know, just on that down the ground, this one here. Now, look at the spread. See the guys, sorry, it was the shot before this one. Yeah, they just couldn't quite go with him. That's the 50 where he came into the encroaching area. He's saying, well, I was following my man. You're yours, Tristan.
Just this with Jake Stringer. I thought the umpire called play on. So the umpires, the Bulldogs might have been denied the super goal.
He did call play on there. It would have been up to that umpire then to raise his arms and signal that will be a super goal. Actually, can you just play on yourself
I'm
and
not
turn
sure.
it into a super goal?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
That might be a technicality.
Yeah, they're breaking out of the middle, the Giants, or trying to. Buntine takes them extremely wide to the wing, and there's a bit of interference on Stewart. Both sides, as we mentioned, without some of their stars, but particularly the Giants throw in Green, Ward, Griffin, Cameron, Shaw, Mumford, Shield. And no wonder some are thinking they're going to play finals football this year. Suckling, not clean the first time, almost trapped, but just showed enough guile to get through. Didn't really want to hang on to it any longer, and you couldn't blame him.
Sold his teammate a bit of a pup there for a second.
Now Easton Wood.
It's like the old hop. I don't want this one. It's not my responsibility anymore.
I want to kick it, but this one's a bit hot.
Yeah.
Lucas Webb, in the end, they captured him as well. Caleb Daniel did well to dig it up. And now they're moving. Bontempelli just cruising along the wing. Keeping them moving. Stand start from Ruffhead. Chips it up, and here's Stringer. On the bounce this time. Slides over the line. And we'll have a throw in. Just under 10 minutes remaining. John Patton having a breather. You can see the disparity in disposals up to 40 now. Inside 50s, 26-11 in favour of the Dogs, and the margin is 15.
And we saw Nick Maxwell in shot there as well. The Giants adding some recently retired players. Letty Hayes also at the club as Biggs intercepts. Assesses his options, hits and hopes. He'll lead the big man to fly. In the end, Ruffhead just brings it to ground level and forces the throw in.
Stevens with 16 disposals, straight back into it, finding plenty of footy. When he's up and firing and fit, he's a very strong runner, breaks the line. So the Bulldogs will be looking for him to stay fit throughout the entire season. He does add a fair bit of flexibility to their lineup.
Bontempelli trying to hit it at pace initially, did so unsuccessfully. Another stoppage as the ball just starts to get a little greasy. Sweltering day in Canberra. Temperatures reaching 38 degrees as Kelly was slung as he got rid of it. Dalhouse, the quick kick forward, was wide and out of bounds on the full, and the Giants will reload.
So Core being told exactly where to go and where to kick it. As you can see, bombs for territory back to the wing. Every man and his dog flying for it. Stewart looked the most likely. Just getting a little bit greasy out there. Ball close to the line. Steele kept it going. Now Kelly with a little give. Didn't find its destination. They still have the numbers to prevail perhaps. Canelio, a little half distance kick to half forward.
Yeah.
Lobb thought he was going to be penalised there.
No, it was Morris holding, trying to give his teammate in front of him a good chop out. It's well worked.
What about the courage there from Suckling backing back? Maybe whether it was necessary or not, I'm not sure. Reed's wandering shot for goal almost drifts out of bounds, but the Dogs are able to collect the footy, and Daniels comes away and puts it onto the chest of Minson.
Wilbur. That's a good throw.
And the umpire spotted it too. Good pressure by the Giants, because they've perhaps started to fade a little in general play, Derm.
I don't know if it should be Wilbur's go, running backwards, handballing to the possible one over the shoulder.
Here's Wilson inside 50. Reed, the desperate diving attempt to mark as Marcus Adams drives it long outside of defensive 50 for the Bulldogs. Trucking it back was Steele.
Good work from Steele. Then he put in the hard yards to make sure he could just get a little break on his direct opponent.
Up to 9 disposals too. He's done some good things.
He's been very good.
One of the Canberra locals in this Giants side is
again.
just puts his hands up. It sticks.
It was 206 centimetres.
He's marking it well.
Yeah, it's 206 centimetres, and they are an accompanying set of arms that probably should be on somebody taller than 206.
And extremely valuable for a ruckman to
Who can
have
mark
that ability to play a
inside
full
50.
50.
Yeah. Well, as I said, he's probably looking at 70% inside 50 as a forward, and the rest relief.
First goal of the game did Rory Lobb. Awkward kicking action.
He runs in like he's a left footer.
Yeah, he moves
Looked at like
he
a
moved
ruckman.
the ball around a fair bit, but that's what we talk about in terms of opportunity. Nailed his first one in that first quarter. Opportunity here in the second with another one. Kicks that. All of a sudden, he's got 2 goals to half time. Walks in. Leon's pretty pumped with the way that he's going about his footy.
Walking a tight line there, the Dogs, and the turnover eventually coming. And shot at goal missed by Pickett. A lot of excitement about this young man. I think he spent a fair bit of time with Devon Smith over the summer. He's taken him under his arm and just showed him some of the things that need to be done on the track to get to that next level. So hopefully we'll see the rewards over the next couple of years.
Campbell hands to it. No mark taken. Giants another chance.
They've opened him up here.
Canilio untidy with his disposal. Kelly couldn't gather cleanly, although he recovered nicely on all fours, just flicked it forward. Johannesson controlled it nicely, but then the hurry kick outside of defensive 50 was spilt by Buntine. The Bulldogs are dangerous. Here's Rover. Drives it long to Stringer, who might get it and go. Thought about laying over the handball. In the end, dribbles it. And when you do that, Jono, I reckon you want to kick him. But Stringer kicks his third.
Oh, Suckling's kick in was bad. The kick back in was bad. And finally, somebody else got a good one away, Jesse Stringer.
I was nervous when he was running in to goal here, though. You could see him set up from the dribble kick a fair way out, and he was in position to just perform the basic drop punt and just sail it through half post high and kick it. But they're getting closed up, made the decision, and just had to nail that one.
What would you have done then?
Drop punt every day of the week.
You
Low
were
drop
8 years
punt.
back and-
Straight to the goal umpire. You kick it to the goal umpire when you're in that position. Just a nice low dart.
I like
Straight through.
Stevie
He's standing
J's
right in the
theory.
middle. Stevie J landed if
On
you get
the line.
on the goal line. If we're going to kick it like that, I kick a drop punt to land it on the goal line.
So resume in the centre. You heard the umpire.
The Giants fans will be keen to see Stevie J pull on their jumper over the next couple of weeks.
I reckon he's going all right. Well, Stevie J reckons he's going all right.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Here's Barrett, and you spoke about him before, Durham, the second cousin of Trent Barrett and the cousin of Luke Bruce.
Okay. Didn't know
Boy
that.
from Tamora, as Steele went in short. Pickett perhaps could have attacked it a little more strongly. Umpires give the Bulldogs the advantage, and Picken goes short, uses McLean on this near side.
David McLean just guides it back for Matthew Suckling, who they've already said is likely to play in a number of positions for the Dogs, as he did last year for Hawthorn. Ended up being the sub on grand final day.
Very good as a half forward for Hawthorn, especially in the grand final, I thought.
They're all pretty good.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
Bontempelli bangs it to full forward. Minson over the top, Marchbank, and Kennedy keeps it alive, or does he?
Well, the thing with Suckling now is at Hawthorn, because it's such a good team, he had a specific role to play, and he knew the boundaries of that. Now, and you can't keep him all at your club. He deserves a bigger wage. Doggies came to the party and said, we'll pay that, because we reckon he's got talent. But now, his role expands. Even Jono said, you expect him to play in the midfield now. Well, they'll never expect him to play there. So he's got a much bigger role now and bigger onus, bigger responsibility.
Long ball from Wilson after he fancied his chances taking on Will Minson, was knocked out for a throw-in.
So there's Tomlinson again on the bike, pushing back. How'd you like to be charging around after that as a half-backer?
We tick down towards half-time. The stat sheet fairly level in this second term, but efficiency really the story for the Bulldogs. Scully made it someone else's problem. Tried to drive the Giants forward. Morris spun out of traffic nicely.
It's a good turn.
Looked to go the wedge centrally. Player centrally fell over, and the Giants looked to press forward. Collins misread it.
To go for it.
Here's Palmer. He was the only one who didn't fly it. One way, then another, and just edged it short. Found Pickett.
He picked out the only bloke in the forward line who could have marked that off his shoelaces. All the others are about 6'5".
Well, pick number 4 in 2014. 26 goals in the NEFL last season. And as Hutto mentioned, Devon Smith taking him under his wing, but perhaps had to build his tank a little to play regular AFL footy. As he kicks from 40 and squanders a golden opportunity.
Very close to the man on the mark.
Yeah.
It's funny with mentoring, isn't it? Smith mentoring, but he's the type of player that could take Smith's spot in the future as well.
Gee, he won't like you saying that.
No, well, Devon Smith isn't going anywhere, let's be honest. But Pickett plays that similar role, and that's where you credit players for. See a block here against the Giants. Joe Anderson's ball. That's what you do. You work with your teammates to make them better. If you get both you in there at a top level, great. You're going to be a better side.
There's Matthew Kennedy. We've seen him a few times already tonight. And I know some draft watchers rated him even as high as 2 or 3. So both he and Hopper, huge expectations. Margin is 19. As the Dogs trying to control the ball on the way out. Daniel taking it back from Morris. Fatigue really starting to set in. Well, 1 to half forward, chopped off pretty comfortably by Untine.
Yeah, they're in fairly straight line mode now, the Giants. It's going straight down the lines. Hopefully a big man, well, they've got good big man presentation there, but they're hoping that one of the big key forwards can come up, mark it, turn around, kick it further down the line.
Hopper didn't do a lot to show that he was trying to get rid of the ball then.
He's felt sorry for him. He's pinged him 2 times already for other stuff.
So these players in desperate need of a break. Half-time can't come quickly enough, but the Bulldogs will look to add further misery to the Giants, although Garhouse's kick was intercepted by Buntine, and it was a fantastic mark.
He's as brave as they come, Buntine.
Yeah, 2 in a row. 2 in a row.
Now they might be content just to see the clock out here. Kennedy in no real hurry.
Well, he looks like Juan Epstein.
Well, he thought Leon Cameron didn't notice him in 2015, so he's done something to change it. As Gamble takes the one-hander.
There's a bit of welcome back Cotter in that with Adam Kennedy, wasn't there?
And the Bulldogs were at the last roll of the dice in this first half.
Not all our viewers would probably remember welcome back Connor Doom.
I just looked at John and I thought he's
No, I do. No.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. I caught a little bit.
Yeah. Hutto's our Freddie Boom Boom.
Collins kicks the half back. McRae. Oh, Whitfield went for a bit of a ride.
Fell into it.
Lockie Whitfield's had a big summer, and he's had a steady improvement, but they'll be looking for a greater incline, I would have thought, this year from a #1 draft pick.
He's one of the few out of the middle who recognises the unfolding of the lay of the land and makes good selections. So he'll be building his body each year, building his endurance base so he can really push through there a little bit harder, a little bit longer.
So 19 points is the margin at half-time, a 3-goal to 1 quarter in favour of the Dogs in that term. As we said, some welcome relief for the players out there. The margin is 19 points at the moment at half-time. That at the Doggies, and maybe it'll change as the season goes, John Owen.
Yeah, well, what they do have as well is Boyd and Redpath, who will take another big spot in the forward line. So one of those guys, those 3 guys that that Baz just mentioned, has to stand up and start clunking him forward as well, just to put his name right up there next to the other big fellas that'll be lining up for the Dogs throughout this season.
Been a pretty low clearance game so far, so there probably hasn't been that as many hit-out contests as we've usually seen. It's a good, strong defensive mark taken by Adams down there. Now, the Dogs are charging out of defence through Johannesson, able to flick the handball out, but as you saw, he missed the target. Zach Williams getting in the road. Daniel didn't give up, and he's laid a pretty decent tackle. The umpire gave him some time and then blew the whistle.
Gave him a little bit longer because he got back to his feet.
Yeah.
Now, this is what the Doggies have done well. They've actually shared the ball and used it a little bit better.
Suckling, penetration on the kick, all the way to Campbell at full forward. Stevens and McLean both crashing the pack. Patfull deciding to keep it alive, and the umpire says, yep, that's okay. As the Giants are trying to move the ball steadily out of defence. Scully getting to the right place, takes the mark from the hopper kick.
Now, if you look way to the other side, now they've spotted it. They haven't done that enough, the Giants. From this one, they're a bit static once they get this kick, and that's a missed target, so it'll turn around. They haven't retained the footy.
End over end.
Yeah, it was.
From Marchbank.
Tristan.
Here's Steele, who is going to have to throw that one out. The umpire gave him some latitude.
That is so difficult to do, kick the ball that way.
And in the end, he was pinged for holding the ball.
Yeah, he had an arm pinned,
Yeah.
and that's a good tackle, so you've got to give it.
Hard to make an effort when you've got one arm pinged, isn't it? Because all you'll do is throw it.
As Johannesson loads up, Marchbank flew from the side. McLean for the Bulldogs, spotted Suckling out of the corner of his eye. Didn't quite hit the target. Suckling had support. Morris did well, then went with a dinky kick towards Bontempelli, who steps around to his favoured left and sees Wallace all alone inside 50. Great vision, great execution. And he can go back and extend this Bulldogs lead.
Good step around, wasn't it? And the vision was there. You just assumed. Well, a lot of players, when they are just inside 50 and they get a step on their player and they get onto their favoured leg, they bang away at goal from 45, 48, around that.
Averaged 23 disposals in his 20 games in 2015. Really emerged as a midfielder and has no trouble with that one. So the Dogs pick up where they left off. Margin now 25 points.
Well, his good mate Tom Liberatore went down last year with the ACL, and he had to stand up and got the opportunity and really started to excel as a midfielder. Great vision by Bontempelli. That's the vision you'd expect. The step onto the left and hit a target inside forward 50. But he's a goal kicker as well, Mitch.
Yeah.
He pushes forward
Average
and can hit the scoreboard.
Yeah, kicked nearly a goal a game, Jono, and also had the most score assists at the Dogs, and in fact in the top 10 in the AFL in that stat, as well as his disposals jumping up from 18 to 23 per game. So, as you said, had that opportunity presented by the injury to Libba, and he was able to take it with both hands. The Dogs extending the margin now to a game-high 25 points. They've kicked the last 4 goals of the game, and it's looking a little bit dangerous now for the Giants. Whitfield tries to lay the tackle. It's the Bont in there somewhere.
So what we look at, top of the screen there, a young Tom Campbell gets a very young Caleb Marchbank, and he gets him at half back, and as soon as the ball gets in motion, he marches him to the goal square and says, right, I'll take this 18-year-old down to the goal square.
Keneally over to tunnel ball. The umpire didn't like it. He comes up.
Very sore.
Quickly moves it on Eastonwood. Well directed for Stringer.
Holds his space well, Stringer. He just pops at the right time to exactly where he knows the kicker's going to put the ball.
Cornelio is hurt. He's staying out there, but you can see he's under some duress. Maybe a shoulder or I think maybe something on the hand.
Yeah, it might be the hand, the wrist sort of area.
You can afford to hold your lead when you're as quick as him off the mark.
Start behind. Wait.
So Stringer. Kicked 3 goals, 3 for the night. Bombs that one away into the pocket. Not the connection he was after. Clean squeezed it out. Robat. It's all Giants there. Steele said to Aidan Core, you can have it. Kelly decided not to go for that little short handball, which seemed to be a good decision. He was trying to get the ball out of bounds. Bontempelli had other ideas. Over Dalhouse's head. Wilson Again, there's so many numbers around the ball. Hard to get a clean handball. Well broken up by Scully. And the Giants are now away and out of trouble as Whitfield got them going and Patton was there to present.
Just dusting out the cobwebs with their foot skills. This is a good option by Patton. Nice mark too by Palmer.
Oh, he was gone at the staggers. He wanted to go. He's got one right over the back. He's not going to get
couple
there.
who are just waving desperately.
Yeah. They're waving the bus out there.
This is Hopper.
Stewart had 3 disposals already in his third term. Palmer ran by to receive, kicked long. Stewart, his intended target was the meat in the sandwich. Ball not clear out for a boundary throw-in.
Stewart Canelio there.
Here it is here.
Watch his hand.
A little bit of a fumble. Just got caught underneath, didn't it? Yeah. Pinch on the shoulder.
Staying out there, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. Whitfield looking to feed it back. Free kick going to Sam Reid. Against Rovat, just outside the 50, so any chance of going for the 9 from there, Jono?
I wouldn't think so. I reckon he'll pop this right to the spot.
Or go for a short pass.
Or that.
Yeah,
There was no way known he was having...
Look at the white jumpers. That's a really good kick to get it amongst 4 of them.
He was having a set shot. No way known.
Canelio to have the shot. Gradually improving and becoming more of a force at AFL level. Averaged 23 disposals and 4 clearances last year. His kicking not always his strength, but that's a beautiful result for the Giants, who desperately needed a goal. And the skipper steps forward and puts it through.
Did you see that? There was a kiss on the cheek between Palmer and Canelio. That was hilarious.
Looking at stats.
Absolutely hilarious. They kissed each other on the cheek after a goal for a celebration. Oh, yeah. No.
I'm not
that's a whole new.
that.
No, that's a whole new level.
That's a whole European thing.
Yeah.
But it'd be a bit sweaty. Yeah, that's a little hot and sweaty.
Well, despite the man love, it's amazing how quickly you can shrug off an injury when you have a set shot to. And he's finished with a plot.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Campbell rising high. Just palmed it down towards Stevens, who's been busy tonight. No clean possession. Scully could have been pushed. Umpire letting play go. Maybe trouble here.
Never seen that before. We've seen one finger celebrations over the last couple of years, and we've seen hands.
The big dipper
players
had
shaking
a
hands.
bit of European cheek kissing.
Yeah.
He's a bit more of an air kiss, though, the dip.
That was Pat McKenna, the youngster, former Australian under-19 cricket captain, who kicked at Patton, who marked well.
Going right
Squares
over.
it up. Lobb didn't take the mark. There you go, the Bulldogs trying to shrug off that tackle with Stevens. Did so effectively enough. And this is where they're so dangerous. On the break, Wood off to Suckling, who didn't have much up ahead. Had to just wait and used Hunter. And go short.
This is what they've done better than GWS. GWS got to this position and still went forward to an outnumbered teammate further afield and couldn't get the next possession. It's the Doggies. They got backwards, they've gone sideways. They'll eventually give it up.
Turnover from Adams.
But 10 possessions in.
And Hoskin Elliott's handball was untidy, although he gathered the ricochet, then went the drop kick. Comedy of errors. In the end, the Dogs should escape.
Should, but let's wait and see.
Yeah. Same again, though. One possession and they give it back.
Johannesson, now Rovat, squirts the handball out. Didn't do a lot for Webb's chances of having clean disposal. Daniel went short. There was some interference there on Roughhead. A few grumpy GWS fans you can hear in the microphone. As the kick goes short the string there, he just got a little bit distracted as he went for that mark. Left it behind, tries to turn it on, and does escape Palmer for 9. No. And Baz, you wanted to talk about Jason Johannesson.
Yeah, Jason Johannesson, he's the one who needs a kiss on the cheek. He's had 19 disposals at this stage, 11 uncontested. Look, Hoskin Elliott is going to him at this stage. He's really got to tighten up. He's only had 3 disposals. The best way to make a backman accountable is kick a goal on him. So he has to get in dangerous spots, tighten up on him, get a little bit defensive. He just had too much freedom at this stage.
Barry Hall boundary signed as the Giants again play with fire, Durham, but this time don't get burnt. So gifting the Bulldogs chances at this current point in time, the home side.
16 Giants, around this ball. So they've only got 2 targets should they get out.
Palmer tried to trickle it further afield. Stringer does the disciplined square-up kick towards the hot spot. Picken could have been held. Here's Hunter, who flies and accepts. Good tackle, McKenna. Caleb Daniel, good handball. McRae, deft little kick towards Stevens. And the Bulldogs, with plenty of numbers, work it out really well. And the beneficiary was big Tom Campbell, who'll line up from 45 metres out.
Did you see the little throw from Lockie Hunter? Then he was going to ground. He threw it into the GWS player, and then it bobbled out after that. Instead of getting caught, I suppose, with the GWS player on top of him, holding the ball, turnover.
Worked so hard for an opportunity late last year before a thigh injury curtailed his 2015 campaign. He strikes it really nicely. It's the tick of approval for Derm. And the Bulldogs hit back. 26 points, the margin. And Tom Campbell trudges off for a well-earned rest.
Very mechanical kicking action, that one, but it is technically pretty good. There's nothing really wrong with it. The ball doesn't wave around. He gets a fairly straight line. Just moves the ball up and down, which means it's never moving off the line of drop into his foot. Said he was a bit robotic in that action, but it's really good.
2-1 to the quarter to the Dogs, who lead now by 26 points. (7-11), so 18 scoring shots to 7. Minson. Baz, it's worth having another look at this celebration, which we'll do in a moment when we get an opportunity. As Minson pokes the ball forward. Daniel has been reasonably prominent as the games continue. Back for Dalehouse. Let's have a look at the entry. Marchbank and String, a bit of a standoff, and eventually it's over. And here's the celebrations. Palmer with a little peck on the cheek. Ed, did you ever do that in your career, Baz?
Oh, look, I thought a tap on the bum was crossing the line as a footy player, so I'm not sure about this kiss on the cheek stuff. I don't think I would have been that accepting.
Imagine if he kicks half a dozen.
Some immediate feedback, you think?
If he kicks half a dozen, we'll qualify it as an affair.
26 points the margin. We're under 10 minutes remaining in the third.
I'm not sure whether you want to be captain for the first time and doing things like that. I don't know. That's just me.
I'm not against it. Good luck.
Sharing the love out there. You can see the contested possession, 68 playing 67. So certainly at the contest it's been a good battle. It's the edge and perhaps experience with the Dogs.
That's the 4th contested mark for Rory Lobb. I want to ask you something about Jesse Stringer in a second, Jono.
Steele waited for a moment, and then Cornelio back to Marchbank, kept on coming, low ball, but a wide ball sliding over the line.
Hey, that last bounce down, a ball up in the back pocket, Jesse Stringer was hunched over 10 metres off that ball up with his hands on his hips in a recovery position. Not much unlike Rob Harvey.
I was going to say, is he trying the Rob Harvey tactics, is he?
And the ball left the scene and he never got out of that crouch position. What's his tank like?
Improving at best, I'd suggest. Look, he's coming from a long way back. He's got plenty of power. We know that.
We know that.
But he was so limited for 2 years with what he could do running-wise because he had the double break in his leg. That's a good entry from the Giants to Hoskin Elliott. That's what Baz was talking about. Dangerous spots for him to put Johannesson under pressure. But Jakey Stringer, I think that's going to be a development over the next few years. He wants to play more midfield time. To do that, he's going to have to start really dominating some of the endurance-type runs.
And just that kick inside 50, Dern. You're a big rap for Jeremy Finlayson. He's
Your kid's
the
good.
spare man.
Well, he's not a number 85 in the draft pick. I know that. And I think they used roughly that sort of number to secure him out of their academy. Will Hoskin Elliott, he's got a fair bit of upside too.
Good presence of mind. Lobb kicks his second, and is showing plenty tonight. Giants working hard, but finding trouble due to their poor skill execution. They're still alive in this game, however. And Simpson was one-on-one with Minson, who touched cleverly behind himself. Bontempelli embracing some of his soccer skills and hacks it towards left half forward. It might stay in. Unbelievable stuff as McLean was almost decapitated. Bounces to his feet. Dalhouse followed up and took a nice mark.
He's had a good quarter, McLean. He's used the ball well. His vision's been good.
He too played on. Interesting option towards the hot spot. Stevens, his intended target. Scully got a hand in there. Here's Stevens, tried the trickle and didn't miss by all that much.
2 goals each this quarter. The Dogs also a couple of behinds.
Finlayson to kick in. Yeah, number 85. They had to use a pick 85 to secure him.
Got a big arc on his kick. He drives it out to half back. The ball goes over the line and out of bounds.
He's a bit better than pick 85, that's for sure.
But also credit to these academies for actually nurturing these players.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. If you actually bring them up and you put all that work in them, you should have first dibs at them.
Wallace. Marchbank steadfast in his efforts. Well done though by Roughhead to split the contest.
Hence the growth now throughout Victorian clubs, getting the opportunity to develop younger players over their journey as well. Multicultural players, Indigenous players, high talent in their area as well, get an opportunity to train with club academies. And that dream, keep that dream alive of representing at AFL level.
That kick went forward from Tomlinson. Now, it was Suckling who was standing next to him at the boundary line throw-in and drifted off and went ball gazing, Tomlinson's defensive side. So anything that came out to the negative was going to go to him. Same again, just near the point of the square. Now, Suckling is just drifting off from him and ball watching, and Tomlinson will filter through here. Having said that, if Suckling gets hold of it, he's a fair weapon on the left foot too. It's really interesting to watch the progression. There he is walking to Tomlinson again. Really interesting to watch the progression of players as they come on. He's not used to playing midfield, so this is an education to him. Even though he's a premiership player, this is an education to him as well. And from the stoppages, I always thought it was harder to play on the attacking side, forward of the stoppage, and your goals are back behind you.
Dawson Simpson getting it down. Rovat, Stevens, McLean again to half forward. There he is. And umpire comes in to intervene.
So this is where Suckling, he's still going to the back on Tomlinson, having a look at them now. That's where he should roll up around, you think, and get that left leg toward boundary and get a handball received, shot at goal.
Marchbank starting to get a feel for it in this quarter. Sends it back out to the wing. Morris tried to ride the tackle. In the end, he had to give it up. Lob.
That was well done.
Reid hacks it forward. Goes to the advantage of Biggs, who gets it to Bontempelli, who looks like he's a little bit more intent on having an impact on this game in the second half. Suckling trying desperately to get the angle right off his left boot, which he does.
I don't think Bontempelli's been tackled yet. He's just got that sleight of hand like Scotty Pendlebury. He's able to just put the little nonchalant step on and just get out of a would-be tackle.
Well, back to Core. And on the bounce for Marchbank, dishing it off.
So we've got to get a kick in at some stage.
Finlayson, a little nonchalant give. I'm not sure it was all that great for Williams. The Dogs should be able to profit here. Dalhouse, he had way too long, it seems. How could he miss like that?
Well, he hasn't kicked well tonight, Luke Dalhouse. And that one there, you could just see he tried to steady up. He went too slow in some ways. You need to still in those positions, burst early, sum it up, and then if you just go slow from the start, you can tend to hook him. You look up, just worried about the result more than anything.
Very untidy in front of goal tonight, the Bulldogs. They started by kicking 7 behinds before they recorded their first major. Now might rebound with purpose. The Giants move it nicely. Taking the mark at left half forward was Palmer. That's Steele running by over the top.
That's a great
squared it up beautifully to the fat side. And Reid marked without too much trouble.
Our colleague Jason the Pig Dunstall made a career out of leading to the fat side. And when you know your teammates up the ground, have an extra 2 or 3 steps to spot that, you invariably take a mark inside 50 with no body contact.
He was a development coach at the Giants last year.
It's off the
They
instep.
ended up rookieing him, and he'll be disappointed with that. Chance gone begging, margin cut to 21.
Third umpire in that situation is a forward's best friend, because there's always space around. We used to call the third umpire, the umpire standing inside 50 near you. That's where all the space is. If you use that umpire as your point of finish, you generally got good space around you to move into.
A little bit scrappy, but it's effective enough for the Dogs as they move it forward. Minson
On the left.
able to duck inside to Stevens, who's got Stringer now working. There's Dogs everywhere inside the 50. Rovat picking in the other pocket.
Almost.
Did it well
Almost did
until
it
he
right,
landed on him, until he just fell towards him. The spoil, I think, was good. The umpire, I thought, made the right call at the start, thinking the spoil spot on, then landed on him.
Fell on him.
Yeah. Once you make the contact.
Lockie Whitfield can argue for as long as he likes, but it'll be Liam Picken lining up for goal. And what a year he had last year, Liam Picken. Shackles were released.
Amazing, wasn't he?
Instead of being a run-with player, the age of 28, he had a breakout season. He runs around and puts it through, which hasn't been easy tonight for the Dogs. He averaged 23 disposals a game last year, Liam Picken. And Bulldogs lead out to 27 points now.
He's not the best kick in league footy, but he's not a bad kick. And that makes him about 200% better than his old man. But what a player his old man Billy Picken was. Just extraordinary. He'd take mark of the week every week. Back in those days when they didn't have a camera at every ground.
Used to commentate himself, didn't he, too?
I was fortunate enough as a young man to play. Well, Billy played on me. Yeah, he'd commentate all right. He'd let you know where you stood. His son's developed into a pretty handy on-baller, hasn't he?
He certainly has. And Stringer now moves into the middle. Just fends off the tackle. Handball wasn't great. The Giants in. They deliver wide. Too wide for Patton. And the ball eventually out of play.
Speaking of yesteryear, I saw a Doggies faithful great, one of the greats of Australian television today, Ernie Sigley. Loves his Doggies. He would have spent a bit of time around the club. The great Ernie.
Clever little tap from Campbell. Found Stringer, who just hacked it out of the danger zone. Minson had it bounce off his chest, had plenty of time to recover the big man. And loop one over the top to McRae, who was caught in probably 15 minds, wasn't sure what to do. Then the decision in the end wasn't his best. Kick to an out number, and the ball out of play once again.
Let's get down to you, Baz.
Yeah, Leon Cameron's made the move on Jason Johannisen. Reece Palmer, as you can see on screen, is picking him up now, doing that defensive role, trying to shut him out of the game. Such an important player, Johannisen.
Harry Hall, boundary side. Once again, great work by Campbell. Ball squared up, peeking out of the goal square on a taller and stronger opponent who did well, Patfull. Stewart now full of running, will clear for the Giants.
Back in defence, Stewart, interesting, kicks it to the wing. Different opponent, same result. Johannisen
Kicked a helicopter.
takes the mark. So the intercept mark numbers have been pretty similar tonight. It was a feature of the Bulldogs last year, led by Easton Wood in particular. Biggs, halfback. Good user of the footy, averaged nearly 20 disposals a game in his 10 outings last year, coming from the Swans.
See, there was good competition there by Tom Campbell. Really wrestled hard to get to the front position and bring the ball to ground.
Scully was cornered, got it up to the wing. McLean ends up with it from Dalehouse. Wandering ball inside. Cornelio will just escort it through for a behind. And with only 7 seconds remaining, you'd think that's all we'll see as far as scoring goes in this third quarter. 7 scoring shots to 3 for the turn. The Dogs increasing their lead to 28 points.
Right at this stage of the season, the medical staff will say, no, we need X amount, whether it's 50 minutes per match until, 14 days' time.
On the Giants side of the ledger, no Davis, Shield or Himmelberg as we kick things off in this final term. Volleyball spike-esque from Simpson. No effective clearance as Wallace threw that one out. And well spotted by the umpire. So first meaningful possession will go to Josh Kelly. He sends it out wide. Let's see how the Giants can finish this game. The inexperienced Giants tonight. Scully's kick had good penetration. Spoil. Great spoil from Adams. Boy from the Waffledurn. Average 17 disposals last season. And a fair lump of him as well. 193, 98 kilos.
22 years of age, 98 kilos. It's a big kid.
Minson fisted it towards Wallace, who was slung as he got rid of it. Umpire allowed play to go. And in the end, the Bulldogs received the free kick. Young Lucas Webb, who was held, bounces to his feet, goes short to Dalhouse.
Webb played 10 games last year, Jono. He moved quite well and showed some promising signs.
Yeah, he did. He flowed through the wing and half back, and really, I agree with you, showed some really steadying signs in those games, made the most of his opportunities. Players that get 10 or 11 games in their first year, that's their driving point then for the summer. They've got a taste of it, and they want to become the regular. Get those games up to 18 to 20 in year 2, and then you're away from that point.
There he is on cue, Lucas Webb. It's a low kick, and it worried Core through the air. Mark or free kick going the way of Stevens.
Yeah, Apps. Apple Core has decided to pull the arm down to make sure he couldn't mark it, but the umpire was wake up to it. Watch his right arm here. Actually, didn't try and hit the ball, tried to make a body spoil, a little bit crude. Some umpires will let that one go.
So Stevens on the way and strikes it nicely straight through the footy, puts it through, and the Dogs continue on. Just a little bit too good for the Giants at the moment. Certainly, as we've talked about, in the experience front, the Dogs have got it over the Giants, and that's told as the match has gone on.
Yeah, it has a little bit, Hutto, and that's Kobe Stevens. That was on his 4th touch inside forward 50. He's at 24 for the game. Yeah. So that just furthers what Baz was talking about, the flexibility. He's played a lot across half-back, the wing, floating a little bit through the midfield. He's played very well tonight, but he can go forward, can hit a scoreboard for you. He's had a couple of scoring shots from limited opportunities, I suppose. So when it gets in his area as a forward, he can have some control of the game.
And the Dogs would be happy with him. Pick 44 they exchanged for Kobe Stevens, so
he was
fairly handy acquisition.
When he was at it was the Eagles.
West Coast,
yep. So the Bulldogs once again streaming out of the centre.
That's another push.
And not all that subtle, fair to say, Dirk.
Little check.
Maybe the Giants getting a little desperate, trying to turn it into a grind.
He's confident here. He's
Campbell fancies his chances.
I always loved it when the big key forward just points to the sky and says,
we spoke about it earlier. We were waiting.
McLean had about 20 metres on his direct opponent. He didn't kick to him, so he'd want to put this one straight through.
Where do you want it? Just throw it up in the air anywhere.
I'll tell you what, he's got a fair piece of it as well. Knew his capabilities, went bang from 55 and put some icing on the cake.
Well, that's the reason why he didn't look at the past. Yeah. Why would you? Oh, look at that. Yeah. There's the free kick. There's the push from Core.
In fact, that was such a blatant free kick, they probably should keep one more in credit for him. That was 2 push in the backs.
That's a big launch from Campbell.
Yeah, yes. See, Kobe Stevens was up in the forward line when he was going back to line up, and he was, what I was saying, he was just pointing to the sky, saying, kick it up, I'll mark it. I loved it when the key forwards used to say, yes, I don't care where you put it, as long as it's in the air, I'll get it.
You're right.
So the NAB footies, the Sharons, go to St Kilda City down at the old peanut farm. Down there.
Oh, he's still going to have kick down there occasionally. It's where they have the Reckley Cup each year as well. Yep. Wonderful institution that's been going on for years down there.
And they're playing a women's exhibition game there as well, this coming series.
Yeah, beautiful. That's high.
It certainly is.
Just.
All going the way of the Dogs at the moment. Wallace just slipping on the cricket pitch area.
See Johannesson just cruising past again.
pretty decent wicket here in Canberra normally. They make plenty of runs, that's for sure. Kennedy dashing out of defence. The Giants, we know what they can do, rebounding off half-back. Kennedy with a flash of brilliance early, drives it long for lob, but set for him. He does. He rides out the tackle, and then it wasn't the best of kicks, but it falls pretty nicely in the end. Oscar Elliott's able to drive through a goal. Kieran Collins we saw there, just couldn't quite clean tackle. The margin back to 37 points.
Yeah, it fell for Oscar Elliott, didn't he? He did well here. Good strength to back out of the contest. He was there for the handball receive.
That's what maturity is.
Yeah, in the end he gets it anyway.
Rory Lobb wouldn't have powered through that tackle 18 months ago.
No way.
Another 7 or 8 kilos lighter than what he is now. He'd have been taken down with just that jumper sling.
That's when you see players like that develop. He hasn't lost any of his speed either with getting bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
It's been a rapid rise for him. Didn't win the ruck contest, however. Stevens almost threw that.
Throw.
And the umpire
That's 50
to it. Well and truly 50, given the stricter interpretation.
Once again, you see Bontempelli still didn't get tackled.
He's got that amazing knack of pivoting.
Watch this.
And evading opponents.
And Buntine is a very good tackler. Got through. A little bit of sleight of hand. He puts a little bit of doubt as to which side he's going to step to.
Hefty penalty. Advances the Giants to centre half forward. Kelly. As the Bulldogs feverishly push numbers back. Tries to thread the eye of a needle. And I tell you what, he didn't do badly at all. Stewart marks.
So in the forward line all night for the Giants, they've outsized their direct opponents. But unless you mark it, and mark it damn regularly, it's all in the favour of the smaller backmen in this game of this day and age who run it out.
Another player looking for some continuity in his AFL footy in 2016. Stewart tries to squeeze it through, but get off the instep, miss to the near side. And the Bulldogs breathe a sigh of relief, although I don't imagine Hutto they'd be too concerned.
Hunter kicks back to the wing. McLean, who is renowned for a leap or two, flew high. Even though he didn't mark it, it falls to the advantage of the Dogs. Picken sends that one skyward. Rough head, denied by Core. And Webb sees it over the line. McLean took in his TAC Cup here, took an absolute screamer, which you can YouTube if you want to at some stage. And he certainly showed his leaping ability there.
Oh, Liam Pickett, hop out of the way.
Well timed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The jump.
Swing and a miss from Biggs. He got it the next time. Reed hacks it back to the wing. And Tomlinson almost goes up the race.
Won't be long until he'll run up there and have the shower.
What about Josh Kelly, Derm? He's had it 15 times tonight. I think he's played quite well, but what does he need to add to his game to, I suppose stand out's not the right word. He's probably just playing the role that's asked of him, but you'd like to see, because he's used to the ball, he's so good, maybe a little bit more from him.
Yeah, look, I think he's a super player.
So do I.
The thing is, he's still that size where he's a lightish body.
Well, Ruffhead had to work harder for that than you would have imagined after chopping the mark. And same result in the end. He puts it through for another goal. And the margin now out to 42 points. And Baz, you wanted to chat more about the versatility of Stringer.
Well, Jackie Stringer, we know he's a powerful unit. Him and Bontempelli in there's going to be a really big force in terms of stoppages. He's been in there for the last 3 or 4 stoppages in the midfield. They're starting to shuffle some magnets around now, so it just shows the versatility of Jackie Stringer. He's the most dangerous forward, can also go in the midfield and have an impact.
Speaking of versatility, Jono, you've watched Roughhead a fair bit over the past couple of years. Where do you expect him to play most of his football this season?
Yeah, ruck forward for me. I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier as well, but look, he had to play that role of fullback. The Dogs were desperate for someone, a big body, to be able to do that. That's why they've now recruited Collins and Adams to try and fill a bit of that role, to allow Roughhead to go and play his more natural game. Great goal for
Novak with a nice turn of foot and snapped pretty darn well as well.
Kicked the goal before he had the chance to finish answering the question, John.
that was That was quick out of the middle, wasn't it, Hutto?
It's a good player, this kid.
And that's the challenge, the competition for spots for players like Rovat and Daniel and Hunter in the lineup. You also look at then they're competing against Dalhouse, who's a regular already in terms of playing forward midfield. So that's where it can become a little bit tougher. But if they get their opportunity and they take it, then it puts pressure on others, and that's the challenge.
You asked me about Kelly before. To me, he's a throwback to an old-fashioned on-ball rover.
Yeah.
But he's still fairly light, so you play him off the wing. There he is, coming off the bottom wing here. So he's got to come off the wing, and I reckon it's not the true natural game that he likes playing as a wing, because you stand in different spots, you start in different spots. Yeah. So as he gets a little bit more resilient, a little bit more power and strength in him, not much more size, but just through age gets a little bit of that, match it with some heavier, stronger bodies.
Well, it's Ward, Griffin, Shield that are in front at the moment.
I think you can actually start him inside the square.
So he's a second wave stoppage player over the next couple of years.
Super player, yeah. A wonderful step and a good user of the footy.
No doubt.
Campbell just slightly out of position there, can't take the mark, but Lobb certainly can. 48 points the margin. Cornelio in the back pocket. 13 disposals for the acting captain tonight, Buntine. Gets the protection required from Kennedy. Ran his full measure. Now gives Patton a chance to, in fact it wasn't Patton, it was Kennedy, a chance to test his marking skills. The young man lays a good tackle on Stevens, who was trying to walk over the line. He didn't. Big, so they keep it in. McRae, Suckling reluctantly calling for it in the middle of the ground, it appeared.
Oh, it was good work from Stevens. He didn't want that ball. He was on the ground. Biggs had to give it to him, and he did well.
Now Easton Wood goes for a little trot. Switches on, and there's Suckling. Eventually takes the mark and uses those renowned foot skills to get Toby McLean into some space. Back to the wing, Dalhouse protecting the path forward for Suckling, and now Wood, who squeezes out a scrappy old ball to the top of the 50, and that's where she ends. And the mark taken by Reece Palmer.
What's been the one noticeable thing from the way that the Bulldogs have wanted to play tonight, from what you've seen, Dirk?
We just had an play on. The umpire blew his whistle prematurely as Kennedy ran out of defence. This Adam Kennedy for the GWS side.
I really like the way they've decided to springboard off half-back. And most of their goals, the meaningful goals when the game was hot, were quick ones that came from half-back or defensive side of centre and gave a one-on-one opportunity to the forwards.
He get just his 5th touch, but drove it inside 50. A nice way to cap off Jacob Hopper's first performance in the grey and orange. Mere consolation goal, but he's grown as this match has progressed.
Well, he only had one possession, I think, halfway through the second quarter there. So, yeah, the more you get knocked around, his type of body shape, his attitude to footy, the more he gets knocked around, that's probably saying to him, welcome to the club, and he'll probably feel more at home.
He did that well, though. You see little things, and that's what Leon will be looking at there. And
you're looking for signs.
You do. Kids, yeah, and you find little things throughout the game in terms of whether he can work the lines consistently or his running ability.
And the instinct to kick a goal, John, too. I mean, that is massive for a midfielder, isn't it?
Of course it is. Getting front of square, the right spot, and then to finish your work. It's really important.
Averaged 23 disposals and 2 goals a game for North Ballarat in the under-18s, and even more in the championships.
See, Kelly couldn't hang on to that tackle there as he got shrugged, and it wasn't a big, violent action there, but he just didn't have the power to hang on to that and stay low.
Big Tommy looking for another super goal. Back down to you, Baz.
Yeah, Reece Palmer's having a tough day at the office. He went to Jason Johannesson, who was the leading possession getter on the ground at that stage. He went to him as a defensive role. He's now gone to Kobe Stevens, who's the leading disposal getter right now with 25. So he's had a tough day at the office trying to plug holes for GWS.
The handball's on over the top to Will Hoskin-Elliott.
Oh, must be a free to Stewart. Not paid, or was it paid? Or did the advantage get paid? Bit hard to work it out. They kick a goal anyway.
Well, Hoskin-Elliott should have got the first handball over the top. The kick went to the top of the square, which was always a 50-50. But the easy handball was on over the top. Hoskin-Elliott would have run to 35 and kicked the goal anyway. didn't.
There you go. You can see it there.
Yeah, he's actually signalling,
from Sam Reid.
So he still keeps coming in. So he didn't drop his bundle. And when he saw this, he's probably thinking, I'm still a shot here.
Well, it's happened twice this
I was
quarter.
going to say, he's kicked 2 goals from about a metre out.
Yeah, with a bit of luck as well, the ball dropping his way. One was a smother from the Dogs, and he should have got the handball received from Lob.
Just speaking of Hoskin Elliott, Durham, why hasn't he progressed? He's an enormously talented young man. He's had a few injuries, but his numbers have gone down, not up.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a young kid. I mean, it's one of those ones, I think he's just finds a bit of form, it flirts with him, it went out the window. He wasn't really injured or anything like that. We had a couple of niggles, but I don't think you've got anything to worry about. His numbers went down last year, but he's just so much talent. And I'm pretty sure his workload's pretty strong, pretty good.
Good strength by Dawson Simpson, just wrenched that one clear. As the Giants build and go too wide inside 50, go Patton, no chance.
See Patton push him off though. Bought himself a couple of metres there.
And just going back to the centre bounce, you have to feel sorry for Reece Palmer in light of Baz's comments. He's now got Jake Stringer for company. Simpson worked his way to the front, tried to fend off a tackle, needed 2 of them to stop him.
Now this will be interesting to watch now. 206 centimetres, 27-year-old. A big fella here, Dawson Simpson, late in a game when everybody's fatigued. They jump over him.
Here's Sam Reid, who flicked it to his own advantage, went round the corner and wasn't all that far away. But Dawson Simpson, Durham, you wish him well. Just 28 games in 8 years in the system. He's had debilitating back injuries. And you hope he can string together some games of footy this year.
Yeah, and they need somebody. If you're looking at Mumford, make a real estimation, probably going to play 15 games for the year, and that's a good return, and you want 15 good ones. Rest him on the ones when they're a little bit close together and has to back up. You want somebody at least to be a big, powerful unit who can protect some of these second, third, and in some cases 4-year players.
Good kick, good play from Kennedy. Finds Patton, quick turnaround. You can see the aim was Cornelio powering towards goal. Oh, I think it got away from him, didn't it?
I think he's been able to tap it back down to himself, yeah.
Oh, that's worth another look.
It is.
Oh, boy.
It is.
He got a wry smile there, Stevie. He might know.
So you reckon it might have been over and he's tapped it back?
No, I think he's played this pretty well.
I reckon he
In the
might
end.
have touched it to bring it back to his foot while the ball was over the line.
You reckon? Here we
Yeah,
go.
it's still
Good
going.
angle. Oh, no, he's done that really well.
Oh, that's well done. Yeah. Great call, umpire. Never down again.
Well, I didn't anyway.
I was looking at it a bit dubiously.
2 goals for the stand-in captain Cornelio, and the Giants with the last 3 of the match.
Which is good because the third quarter they looked really fatigued. They looked like they weren't going to fire a shot in this last quarter. But to their credit, they've been able to put their heads down, continue to work hard, especially the midfielders, and get some good ball going forward.
Whitfield with the clearance, hadn't spent all that much time on the ball. It's thrown in the engine room as Morris picks up a free kick. Looks out left, it'll have to be precise. Sat on the head of Minson a little bit. Good pressure applied by Wilson, who kept it inside the field of play. Dawson Simpson, if you don't mind selling the dummy. Drove it long inside 50. Patton and Pickett couldn't work out which one wanted it. In the end, just flicked out the back. He's Biggs for the Bulldogs, who played with fire. Had to be precise. In the end, luck was a fortune.
Oh, well
Look
done.
away handball from McRae was clever.
Really good teaming there by the doggies running out.
Pickett had the space, although his kick not great. Untidy, however, from Kelly. Gave away the free kick to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Hoskin Elliott, I know the question I asked before, we've missed him actually running on and getting into space and taking those overhead marks last year, and I think that really contributes to a fair bit of confidence that he plays with. He didn't seem to get that as much last year, and when you're a young player, you do need things running for you on occasion. I reckon that went against him, and it probably affected his psyche into the sport, into the game.
Another good grab inside the forward 50 for Tom Campbell. He's lining up for his 3rd goal. And looks like he's enjoying it out there, Jono, too.
As you would. That big 9-pointer, I think, was the highlight for Tom Campbell in this quarter, but for his game as well.
What's he doing there? A little stamp shuffle. Yes, from the short
sure,
He's been a very good player at VFL level. Still trying to find his very best at at the top, and that will help. He slots through his third.
Not much wrong with that action, Hutto.
No.
It's not fluid, it's not super pretty, but it's mechanically as good as they get.
And the Dogs back out to that 6-goal margin.
And Derm, how do you assess the GWS back six? Because they've been undersized tonight. Obviously no Davis or Haynes there.
Yeah.
But do you see them as being perhaps a little vulnerable against the big monster forwards?
They have been for a while. Timmy Moore was very good for them early days, but he's coming off a big knee injury. But they decided to hang with the guys they've got.
They didn't recruit.
No, they didn't go for a big backman, a ready-made. They thought a backup ruck was the important position.
Well, they got the flexibility with Tomlinson to go to centre-half back when Cameron comes back into the lineup as well.
True. He's even rucked this last quarter, Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Williams tried to spin out of traffic, in the end spun into trouble, but was taken high by Bontempelli.
Did he call high, or was that one of those for the NAB Challenge matches, an aggressive tackle?
Thought the call was high.
Yeah.
As the Giants build through Wilson, pumps it long. Patton in good position. Almost a bit of a falcon. In the end, Stewart.
Wow.
Moment of brilliance from James Stewart. Carved a passage and finished with a plum.
13 games last year, 15 goals, and that was the type of aggression in his play that he did bring last year.
Bit of a red rinse through there too.
Natural rinse, Hutto. But that's right here. It's, look, strength through the contest and then to quickly get hand to foot. You see here, it's very quick. Pushes through, wants to get through. Well, finishes with some nice touch.
He and Lobb effectively playing off for the same position as the backup.
They have used James Stewart as the second ruckman because he's got a very good spring. He's got very good elevation. He's around the 6'4.5" mark himself. And yeah, look, Lobb just reaches so high that I don't know if you can play them both in the one team, but there'll be times when they do because somebody else will be missing from the lineup.
Hicken takes it away and the Dogs are in quickly. Hunter just waited until Wallace came into his vision, and across to Rovat now. Works it around the corner, needs some help on the line. Oh, Tommy was thinking, here's 4 for me.
As Core gets set to resume proceedings. Drives it down this broadcast site. Lobb pushed under it. And rightly awarded the free kick.
He's done all right there tonight, Rory Lobb.
He's attacked the contest hard, and
10 disposals, 5 marks.
his timing's been very good. So early on,
4 of those 5 marks contested, so
And 2 goals to boot for Rory Lobb. That's what confronts him.
see, this is where, for most of the night from this situation, they've just played straight lines down the field.
A good indication of the Bulldogs setting up down the line as well. Just made it the easy spoil over the boundary line, although umpire Banniston not happy with something here.
Yeah, you've got to make
deliberate.
every endeavour to keep it in. He's tied himself up a bit in.
Marcus Adams.
Not 15. Gee,
Oh, that was
that's a bit
touch and go, and it could have gotten worse because Steele was almost pinged. In any case, a stoppage between wing and right half forward.
You're right that they did set up well, but the good teams tend to massage them around still. So you can always, if the workload's good enough, you can always still find a target.
Hunter to front and centre, squared it up round the corner.
Great
Good
kick.
kick. They've done it well tonight, the Bulldogs. Just didn't quite sit for Webb. Ricochets around at centre half forward for the Dogs as Stevens stands up in a tackle. Good to see the hunger from the Giants. A lot of players around the ball as McKenna gathered. Tried to exchange with Hopper, then Hopper decided to use Williams. He just chipped over the top. Allowed Kennedy to mark, turn and go.
Spotted him
And that's a
up well.
brilliant kick inside 50.
That was all right, wasn't it?
That's just a glimpse of the future.
When he turned onto the right foot, normally, look, if you're looking between you or turning on the right foot, you and the goal square, that's 12 o'clock. Anything to 11, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock is hard to get in the corner of your eye. He went to about 10 o'clock then on that dial I'm talking about, pulled it across his body. That's good vision.
Rory Lobb to cap off a pretty productive night at the office. Looks to have pushed it right, and again misses. I suppose most importantly, he's getting himself in good positions, but just needs to tidy that set shot technique.
Kick that to about 2:15, I think.
Yeah.
Margin 30.
There's Malinga, kicks in.
Everyone flying, didn't quite get the timing right. Fell beautifully for Easton Wood, who just glides in. And now they're away with Hunter.
Kick the running goal, Wilbur.
And he doesn't try. Goes short, a little pokey pass. Robat able to lay it off, and Suckling runs in and rams it right through for another for the Dogs. From one end to the other in style. Back out to a 36-point margin.
Yeah, once that got past the big pack on the kick in, it was always down. Watch this pack, and they come together and they all fall. They topple over, it's out the back. Easton Wood chimes in, it's off to the races. And wouldn't it have been good if Wilbur could have kicked one on the run?
But what about the delivery on the left? He'd be impressed with that, I reckon.
Yeah. If that was a putting action, you'd call it he babied it.
Counting down to full time in the nation's capital. Important year for Will Minson, in all seriousness. Just
Yeah,
the 10
is.
games last year. Many forget he was an All-Australian.
Was that the year before or two?
So we're at 2013, I think.
Okay.
Clever work by Webb just to paddle it out in front of Wallace.
And you did right, because it's not as if he lost pace, lost competitiveness, or lost any of his attributes. He just lost his position.
As Johannesen delivered inside 50, what a weapon he's going to be. Hunter ducked under the tackle. Rovat got his hands free, back towards Hunter, who could have been pushed. Umpire gave the Giants player the benefit, as the Bulldogs can't quite fashion a kick. They're working in ever-diminishing spaces. Flicked out the back cleverly, Rovat that was. And
they've been busy, haven't they, Hunter and Rovat? Rovat, as the game's worn on, he's up to 18 disposals now. Hunter's had 25, so he's had plenty of footy. After a pretty good year last year, lucky Hunter.
Did well there again. Rory Lobb. Yeah. Just for our viewers, the new interpretation for the umpire, you have to have every intention to keep the ball. He's actually disappeared then, he did that many circles. You have to have every intention to keep the ball in play and live.
Palmer takes the mark. We haven't seen that affect things too much in the NAB challenge, but I've got a feeling once we're doing the real stuff in the home and away, could be a bit different with the deliberate out of bounds, and there's going to be some controversial ones, I suspect. Stewart comes out and takes the grab.
Yes, but it'll be the usual suspects who scream the loudest.
So Stewart. There's been plenty of glimpses for the Giants fans. Stewart's given us a couple in this last quarter. We've seen Lobb do some nice things. Some of their youngsters have drifted in and out. I guess
young
what
Kennedy's vision as he came forward.
I guess what we're all wondering with the Giants is which year is it? I know in the camp they don't want to be known as the young Giants just developing anymore, but now there's some expectations they could play finals this year. It's just when's it all going to come together?
That's the thing, and that's where it's tough, and it'll continue to be tough for the Giants because sides around now have got so much better. Well, their lists have got better again. Geelong, everyone's expecting them to jump up with the way that they've recruited Port Adelaide. The expectation is to jump straight back in and play some finals footy again. Adelaide's a better team, but will they pop out of the finals? That's where it's going to be tough. They're going to be in that mix. It's just whether or not they can win enough home games now to really push their fortunes forward to make a top 8.
Well, they almost tackled Montempelli there. It took 4 players to almost get him down.
Just to add, that'll be a baller. Just like tonight's list. So this isn't the full list, but Shield was down on the list. He didn't play. Played 64. Canelio 62. Who else we got? Jonathan Patton injury, but played 32. You go down to blokes like Josh Kelly, played 36, Hoskin Elliott 50, Adam Kennedy 50, 61. So they're getting to the stage of 50 to 80 games. And if you are a good player with that talent, somewhere between 50 and 80 games, in your own right, you can have a real effect on winning games. So they're all reaching the right level.
So the clock counts down, and in the end, it's the Western Bulldogs. These two emerging teams, but the Dogs, just a little more talent tonight. As we said, there was glimpses from the Giants, but the Dogs a little too good. And a super goal, 13-17, 104, getting the job done against the Giants. 11-7, 73.
Just too polished in the end. The Giants came out and had a fair crack at it. They were aided in the first quarter by some mishap kicking at goal by the Doggies, but in the end they used the ball, better proficiency with the ball, better efficiency with the ball in hand, retained it for longer, Jono, and they forced the Giants to chase them and fatigue them a bit quicker than they fatigued themselves.
Yeah, we saw players playing a few different positions tonight for the Bulldogs as well, really. And that was the strength last year, was the fact that they were able to play 10 or so through the midfield, and then they had a number of guys go out of the goal square, and then a few across half-back, where they probably had a back line of about, say, 10 to 12 players as well. So that was impressive tonight, their ball use. Good on the Giants for not giving it up, though. Their last quarter, they continued to fight it out.